Well, welcome back, everybody, for week 4 of our sew along. I hope you've been having so much fun with making your bags and creating and just having some fun with different colors and different types of materials. Now, with our bag, remember, we used a faux leather for this bag. And so with the faux leather, that does not ravel. So when we made the pocket, we did the Madeira applique, the wash away Madeira applique technique. Well, if you do, like for my test bag, so for my little denim bag here, this I used an old pair of jeans. It was just something I wanted to try. Well, that fabric ravels. So to make the pocket, you do need to use a different technique. So go into your instructions. You'll be able to get that information on how to do the pocket for a different style of fabric if it does fray a little bit or if it ravels. So don't forget, you can use any fabric for the project. It's just that pocket is going to be a little bit different for a non-ravel fabric and for a ravel fabric. So check that out. Again, I hope you've been having fun making these bags. And now for week 4, what we're going to do is we're going to do some more with Momento. So I'm just going to set that to the side for just a minute. And with Momento, we're going to do those fabulous, festive fall projects that we talked about. Because we were talking about back to school, the first project we're going to do, or the first little thing we're going to do, is we're going to make a teacher card, and I just fell in love with this little card. You can see we used fabric behind, so this is best teacher. You can send your kids back. The fabric is underneath this, so you can, have that, and you can even actually sew this down if you want to. So you can get your sewing machine out and do a decorative stitch, or even just a straight stitch to hold your fabric in. So this is what we're going to start with. And if you were with us in our last Momento, we did another card. This one's kind of fun. It just says coffee break. I love the fabric behind it. So there are lots of different things you can do with Momento. And the cutouts, so my apple as well as the coffee cup, these are all in the My Sewnet library for crafting, and these are actually free little things that you can get. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and go over to my computer now, and then we'll go ahead and let me show you where you can find these. So, all right. With the software, I do want to show you all about the My Sewnet. It's mysewnet.com, and there is a great library of designs. And this is where I found the apple, as well as I found a few other things, the coffee mug. When you come into My Sewnet library, what you're going to see is there are embroidery files. So if you have an embroidery machine, that's there as well. And then our crafting and cutting files. So I'm going to go into that crafting and cutting area, and then I'll just do a quick little slide up. You can see there's lots of stuff in here. Some there are a cost, but I'm going to give you a little tip here. You can sort by lowest to highest, and now you're going to see everything free first. So that's kind of fun. If you're maybe new to crafting and you want to just see if you're going to enjoy it, this is a great way to start. Look at all these great files that you can use on your cutting machine. Let's view a few more. Here, we're going to use, I just want to call your attention to the little jack-o'-lantern here, because we're going to use that in a little bit. So keep coming down here. You can see all sorts of different things. And here's my apple. So because it's free, all I do is I'm going to put that in my cart. I've already done that. And then you just let yourself check out, and it will be free. So there's the apple. One more little thing just so we can see here real quick. There's that coffee mug. So all of these free to you. If you are looking, there are also others. I'm going to show you one later that is a little bit, that's 99 cents. So I think for me, it was well worth the cost. So, okay, so now let's go into our crafting software. Everyone, for your knowledge, the crafting software also is complimentary, so there is no cost for this crafting software. If you start using the library designs that are extra costs, that are not free, then you will need a subscription. But for what we're doing today, no subscription is needed. So that's really very cool. I'm going to go to File. And here I'm going to insert. And I've already done a little prep work. And that prep work is my teacher card. So let's go ahead and open that up. And you can see right there, there's that little apple. There was a red and a green apple. It didn't really matter which one I chose because it's going to cut the same. And the other thing, I'm just going to zoom in. I want you to see this font down here. Isn't that pretty? This is for me. I love the cursive fonts. I think they're really pretty. And if I click on the whole group, because I did group it all together, I'm going to ungroup for a moment, just so you can now see when I click on Best here, there's my lettering, but the fonts themselves, check it out. Here are all sorts of fonts that you can choose from. So look at all of those different fonts that are available to you. I think that's really cool because you can come up with some really nice things. So let me go ahead and do a quick little undo here to get my best back. I'm going to select everything. So let's select it all together. Go ahead and do a grouping. So let's make sure it's all grouped. And now, once this is grouped, we're ready to go ahead and send this to our machine. So basically our Momento, so our cutting machine. Let me go ahead and just show you that real quick. I'm going to do this first, say send to machine. I'm going to use the 12 by 12 inch mat. This time, because I am using paper, we're going to choose, I know this, what I'm using is like a medium cardstock, so I'm going to just use that. And notice here, a few things happened here. So things moved around a little bit, and that's okay. When you see this, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to cancel, go back in. And actually, I have to be honest with you, I forgot one step. And the step that I forgot, so let's ungroup this. Everything is selected. There's something that says attach. Attach puts it together and keeps it as one piece. Grouping kind of does the same thing, but when you send to the machine, it doesn't actually make it all one piece. So if you're sending it like this, you want to make sure you attach rather than group. And so let's send to the machine again. We've done this. Get our 12 by 12 mat. Next, we're going to choose our paper and medium cardstock. Continue. And there we go. We're going to not rearrange and not move to top. And there we go. That's in the right spot at this point. So it's, again, super easy. You just have to remember what you got going on. Now when I click next, my software is actually telling me I need to prep and load my mat. So let's go ahead and get back over to our Momento. And I'm going to use the 12 by 12 inch mat. This is a really nice mat to work with when you're doing small things like this. The larger mats are great when you're doing lots of stuff, but when I'm playing around, I just want to try some things. That's this great 12 by 12 inch mat. And I'm going to take off my plastic and put that to the side. That helps so it doesn't stick on anything, because this really is a sticky mat. It is, though, what is called a light grip mat. When you're using paper, if you use heavier grip mats for paper, it actually pulls and tears the paper. So you want to be careful about that. I'm going to put this right up to the top, okay? And then I'm just pressing this down. And then I'm going to get another tool, and that tool is called a brayer. What that does is that just makes sure everything is flat and even here. So again, super easy to do, but you want to make sure everything's on your mat in a good way. Otherwise, it can pull up when you're working. So our next step is to go ahead and load the mat. And for those of you who are with me on week 1, we talked a lot about we have to raise the pinch wheels, right? So these are our pinch wheels. I want to raise the pinch wheels so you can see them come up and down when I push the button down. I'm going to push this all the way through and then make sure that this is aligned right here on this edge, right? So I'm going to make sure that's aligned. And then I'm going to put the pinch wheel down. Now, before I actually press load mat here, so it's going to be on my screen, before I press that, I do want you guys to realize, notice I have my 4 pinch wheels, right? But there's one way behind here, you can't see it. Then I have 1, 2, and 3 more, so that's my 4 pinch wheels. The far right pinch wheel should always be running on the edge of your mat. So it should always be running on the non-sticky part of the mat. And then the others, just to help move things through, right? So these other 2 are just to help move things through. No matter what size of mat you use, whether you're using a big mat or a small mat, the far right one, always on the edge, and then the other ones in a good place to help move, okay? So just a reminder, we said that before, but I just want to make sure you remember. All right, so I've got pinch wheels are down. I'm going to press load mat. Going to go back and forth, and there we go. Our mat is loaded, so that's actually pretty cool. Now I'm going to go back to the computer, and when I get to the computer, I'm going to click continue, and then my computer really is going to tell me everything I need to know. So when I use that, when I use the computer, here's my force for what is called, this is our regular blade. So it says insert the basic blade. So I am going to, and I'm just going to do that right there. There's my basic blade, right? So I want to make sure I take off the cap. And then I am going to come over here to the machine now. And in the right side, I'm just going to drop that in. And then lock. Remember, we talked a lot about that. We need to lock that in. So that's there. And now if I again go back to the computer, and on this side, the force, this is actually my pen. And I have learned a little bit, just again, just like your sewing machine. Every sewing machine is a little different. Every Momento is a little different. So I am going to increase my force a little bit for my pen and just slightly for my cutting as well. Just through experience, again, just like tension on your machine, you have to make adjustments. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to use my pen and I'm going to come over here. And this pin, let's see if I can, there we go. See how that's a nice fine tip? This is a little thicker tip. And so I want the thicker tip. Pins go on the left side and make sure I lock that in. And once I have that done, I'm going to go continue on the computer. It's going to start moving things over to my Momento. So now it's actually moving things over to the Momento. And once it gets started cutting, or once we say start, it's going to go ahead and cut. So it's doing my lettering first, which I, again, love this. I think it's so fun to watch. So it did my lettering first. So it's saying best teacher. I wish my handwriting was so lovely. I think this is great. And then it's going to come on back and it's going to do the cutting. So 2 steps, the software did that for us. I didn't have to do anything except say, one I wanted to be a pen, one I wanted to cut. And that's it. Now, that was easy. That was really fun. And that was very festive too. So let's close, eject the mat. Now, when you have the mat, you can see I've got my lettering came out really nice. You can see the cuts right here. I'm going to set this down, guys. I'm using this in the studio here. I'm using this kind of as my work area, but it is better if you have like a separate table to work with. Also, because I was really careful, see how I'm actually having a little bit of a hard time getting that pulled up. There are lots of tools out there that will help you there to get things up and working. And because this is such a fine cut, I'm really careful to get this out. But there you go. Check that out. Isn't that so cool? And then again, then you put your fabric behind, you can stitch it down, you can glue it, you can tape it, you can do all that sort of stuff. So that's really kind of neat. Now, I'm going to set that aside. I do want to share with you one other thing, because again, here's your fabric. Well, remember, you've got this little outside, or this piece here. Well, I was going to wait until I show you the next piece, but I'm going to tell you about it now, because I love that I've got this extra little piece here. So I just put that on the back. Isn't that cute? So you've got your extra piece that got cut out. You want to use that somewhere else, you certainly can. And besides doing the actual card itself, I also used my Memento, and goodness, I put Mrs. Jones because, again, even if you have nice handwriting, you saw how fast that was. It was easy, and you can put several of them on one mat. So you could do this for several different teachers if you wanted to. So that's really kind of cool. So get your kids back to school in style, and get your teacher, get their teacher really happy, and make them smile with a new card like this. And I also do want to show you, this little ghost. We found this little ghost, and the letters were included, right? But the little ghost itself, this was on the My Sonnet library. And it was 99 cents, but I just couldn't resist the ghost. And remember, just like with the apple, so remember the apple here, it has that little extra piece inside, and I'm not going to work hard to get to that, but that little extra piece was cut out. Well, the eyes were cut out as well. So check this out. I'm going to open it up, and the eyes are just floating in the card. I just think that's so fun. And there he is on the back as well. So what a fun little way to do. You could you could use a turkey, you could do the ghost, you could do the jack-o'-lantern, you can do the apple for your teachers. So fun projects to play around with for the fall. All right. So have we got you excited about a couple of fall things? Because I'm not done yet. What we want to do is we want to also talk with you about some things for maybe yourself, for decorating, for other people that you may know. I love earrings. I think they're great. And I love the dangly earrings. Well, check this out. These earrings, see this? They're little cork earrings that are really fun. And they are a project in the My Sonnet library. So free project in the My Sonnet library. Well, once we saw these earrings, we're like, what else can we do? So of course, I couldn't let it be just teardrops. We went ahead, and I don't know if you remember, I said, check out that little jack-o'-lantern. Check out our little jack-o'-lantern earrings right here. They are so darn darling. I just think they're so cute. They're made out of the cork. These I didn't, so I'm just gonna lay that one down. For the teardrops, there was actually a front and a back. This one I did not do the back for the little jack-o'-lantern. This is the back of the actual cork itself. If you choose to do this and you want to make them a little bit more sturdy, you can do the jack-o'-lantern, cut one set out, but then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to mirror image in the software so the back will be able to fit and it won't overlap. So just remember, if you're doing earrings like the jack-o'-lanterns, if you want front and back, you're going to need to mirror image that. But are you getting excited? Are you getting excited about some fun things? I personally think I'm going to make earrings for all my friends on my block because I think they're so fun. They're easy. One of the cool things about the software is once you put them in, you can do a metrics, and it'll just take, let's say we've got our 12 by 12 inch piece here. You can just put it in and it'll just fill up the whole area. So what a great way to do that. And you saw how fast it was. All right. We've got one more. I have one more, actually 1.5 more projects. Of course, it's never just one. With the next project, what I wanted to show you, I think this is really fun. And I'm going to move all of these things out of the way. Just put those to the back. And I'm going to move this little guy up front because we did just a great, this is this little box right here. And this little box as well. Both of these were created on Memento and cut on Memento. And I wanted you to see the candy because this one, we even went so far as to say, open me. And what a great thing for the kids in the neighborhood, for, you know, for your grandkids, your kids, whatever. And you can put your candy in there and say, open me. We cut out the little Halloween jack-o'-lantern faces there. But on this one, we just drew them. So it really is, there's so much you can do with this little box. So I'm going to set this back aside. And I'm going to go back to the computer for just a moment. And with that being said, I always forget. My computer likes to shut off on me, so that's okay. We'll get right back. I don't want to save the settings. And I'm just going to cancel out of this guy. All right. So now, what I wanted to share with you is in the MySewNet cutting software. So we have MySewNet embroidery software as well as cutting software. In the cutting software, we have some sample designs, and you can see there's just some fun. There's dogs, there's deer, there's cats, and there is this cube. Well, check this out. When I click on the cube and click OK, that, everyone, and I just made it the size of a 12 by 12 inch. I just made it as big as I could on this 12 inch by 12 inch mat. And that was that little box. Can you believe it? This is the box. So instead of taking the time to cut that out, while you're watching, what I did is I went ahead and I cut it out here. So let me take off my plastic again. When I have so many mats, everybody, even though I had something on here, I like using that plastic because otherwise things get stuck. I'm never quite expecting. I'll come back and I've got fabric or threads or whatever stuck on the side of the mat. So I always like to take that and put that little plastic on there. So now, here we go. I've already cut this. I already sent that to the machine. You've seen how the cutting works. Just going to get started. Now, when you pull this off, you need to be very careful, everyone. Because, and I chose green because we were saying, oh gosh, you could do, you know, I didn't decorate this one. You could decorate it with holiday trees. You could decorate it with, again, turkeys for Thanksgiving. You could do it for New Year's. You could do all sorts of things. But see how carefully I'm pulling these pieces off and apart. Because if you're not careful, now you're going to see what I did over here. Over here, I knew I was okay. This was a little piece, but it did rip off, but it was part of the piece that was coming off anyway. So if you can believe it, that is this cube. Isn't that amazing? I think that is just crazy. And to decorate it, what I did is you have to think a little bit when you're decorating, because think about this being flat. Everything looks to the center. So it's like my jack-o'-lantern was here, and they both look to the center. And then the words are going to flip up this way. So if they flip up this way, how's it going to work? So you're going to have to think a little bit. But this is what's so fun about the Memento and being able to do all of this cutting, play around. The paper is just craft paper that I had, and so it was neat to see how I could use it for other things. So please realize how fun and easy and fast and festive are all these little projects are. So again, if you have the Momento, if you have the crafting software, this little box is right in it, so you don't have to do anything. All I did was decorate it with words and cut out a little bit more. All right, so I'm just going to set this off to the side again. And I hope everybody, you are in the holiday spirit, whether it be back to school holiday, whether it be Halloween, whether it be Thanksgiving, whether it be, whatever holidays you do go ahead and celebrate. I said I had 1 1/2 projects. Well, I want to come back to what we started with our little bag that we made in week 1, 2, and 3. Here's that little bag. Well, we went one step further with the bag, and we used Momento. Can you see that? We actually created the letter of the first name. There we go. If I can get that in the light. There we go. The letter of the first name of the person who's going to be using this bag. And I'm going to show you how to create that little, it's almost like a little eyelet at the top. But isn't that cute? Cut on the Momento. And this is where I mentioned I wanted to, talk with you just one more little moment. When you're doing something with the faux leather, has an interesting backing on the back. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's almost like a fleece. It's very soft. So for cutting the larger pieces like this, no problem with moving and working with this. But when you are cutting the smaller little holes and different things for the letter A, that's where it became super important that we use, this is what is called a heavy or strong grip mat. Have you noticed that Singer's done a great job? Each mat, I said there was a light mat, and then we talked about a fabric mat. Each mat is a different color, so you kind of know that's a different mat than the other one. But this is super strong. And what we found is we needed that strong grip for this particular fabric for the small cutting. So just know that we did take some care. I will tell you, honestly, I messed up a couple times because I had to learn just like you do. And so I'm giving you this tip. So when you put this on, you definitely want to use the brayer. So you want to make sure that it's on nice and heavy, but you're using a heavier or a strong grip mat for something that has that backing. I'm not going to cut it now. You've seen me cut a few different things, but I just want to make sure you realize that for something like this, it's going to be a little different, okay? So the last thing I'm going to do, let's go back to our computer here for a moment. And I'm just going to get rid of my box. And then you saw us do lettering earlier. I'm just going to choose my lettering, put in a capital letter A. The font, and honestly, I can't remember exactly what font it was, but this is a good font to use. It's a very simple, basic font. And so this is the font that I started with. So there's the letter A. I am going to come in and notice that the path talks about being a pin. Well, actually, we want to cut this, so we have to make sure that we are cutting the letter A, not just writing it. So those are all different options, right? You can print, you can use a pin, you can cut, perforate, score, do all sorts of things. But there is my letter A. But we have to make that eyelet for the top. So this was, again, kind of a fun, easy way to make an eyelet. So I just grabbed a circle, and let's put it up here toward the top. And you want to make it, depending upon the size you want your letter, you want to make your eyelet to be a good size for that. And then we have to make another little circle in the center here. So the easiest way to do that is to copy, paste, and now I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. So now I have 2 circles, and with both of those circles, once I select them, we have one more option, and I think I still have both of those selected. When I select here, I can make a hole. So check that out. Eyelet, that's simple. And now let's put this right here. And there's something else when we select it all. We may have our eyelet, but we have to hook it to the letter A. So now I'm going to weld it together. And now I'm going to come back here after the camera, and I have to do this because I think it's so cool. Ta-da! That was that easy, right? It was really easy to make that eyelet, cut the hole, weld it together, and now you've got your great letter A right there. And all I did is I just hooked it right in. So, oh, that's a great way to see that. See how nice that just works for that. And that's the back. There's my front. Okay, everybody. I hope you had fun with our fall festive projects. Get some ideas, do something, play around with your memento. And also with the bag, what a great way. Again, you saw how you can change the size of things very easily in the software. So if you love this bag for your child or your grandchild and you want one that's the same, just a little bit bigger, guess what? Just go into the software, make it a little bit bigger, and you're ready to go. So thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you had some fun. Our 4 weeks of sew along with our little bag as well as with the Memento Fun projects. And enjoy your fall, and I'll hope to see you next time.